Welcome back to Meghan and Harry Tales, the home of honest storytelling, royal revelations, and all things Sussex always told with elegance, empathy, and truth. I'm your host, Adrian, and today we're about to explore a surprisingly sweet connection between Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and the late Queen Elizabeth II, a connection that bloomed not in headlines or royal ceremonies, but in something far more simple, a shared, thoughtful way of preparing a pineapple. Yes, you heard that right, pineapple. But as with all things royal, even the smallest details carry meaning, tradition, and sometimes a touch of magic. Stay tuned, because what might seem like a light-hearted culinary coincidence actually opens a door into Meghan's mindful world, the Queen's enduring elegance, and the often overlooked humanity that brought these two royal women closer than people realized. To understand why pineapple matters, we need to begin with the royal family's relationship with food, because in royal life nothing, and I mean nothing, is done without intention. For over a decade, royal chef Darren McGrady worked behind the scenes preparing meals for the Queen, Princess Diana, and later young Princes William and Harry. He has shared many insights into the Queen's personal tastes, from her love of chocolate biscuit cake to her fondness for Earl Grey tea. But one detail recently resurfaced and caught everyone's attention. It was his memory of how the Queen preferred her pineapple. Now, pineapple might seem like a trivial choice, but in royal dining even fruit is an event. Chef McGrady explained how pineapple was never served simply in chunks or spears, as many of us might enjoy it at home. Now, the Queen's pineapple was a work of art first. The top was removed and saved. Then the core was carefully carved out, and the fruit sliced into perfect rings. The core was discarded. Then the rings were returned inside the hollowed-out pineapple shell, and the top was reattached for a complete, elegant presentation. Served on the royal dining table, it was both beautiful and formal. And true to royal protocol, the Queen always ate it with a knife and fork. No fingers, no mess, just grace. McGrady said this method ensured pineapple remained an elegant, hassle-free experience, and perhaps more importantly, it honoured the Queen's lifelong preference for order, precision and tradition, even in the smallest details. But here's where the story takes a modern twist. Fast forward to 2025. Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, former actress, mother of two and passionate advocate for wellness and intentional living, is sharing a behind-the-scenes moment from her Netflix series With Love, Meghan. The moment, which she posted on Instagram, was a clip that didn't make it into the final cut of the show, but fans noticed it instantly and loved it. In the clip, Meghan is in a warmly lit kitchen, preparing food alongside wellness therapist and longtime friend Randy Karin. There's laughter, calm energy, and a genuine sense of presence. As they cut fruit together, Meghan shares something personal. She picks up a pineapple and begins slicing it, following the natural diagonal patterns on the fruit's surface. "When nature has given you all the cues on how to have a perfect taste of something," she says, smiling before popping a fresh piece into her mouth. It was an organic moment, yet deeply telling. Meghan's technique wasn't about formality. It was about mindfulness. It was about honouring what's already there, following the fruit's natural lines, savouring each bite with intention. It may not have been the royal protocol, but in a quiet, beautiful way, it echoed the same care and thoughtfulness Queen Elizabeth brought to her own version of pineapple preparation. Two women, two generations, two worlds, one fruit prepared with the same quiet reverence. You might be wondering, why does this matter? It's just a fruit, right? But sometimes the smallest gestures speak the loudest, especially in a world where Meghan's every move has been scrutinised, twisted and politicised. This moment, this pineapple, isn't just about food. It's about connection. It's about two women from vastly different worlds, one a monarch who reigned for 70 years, the other a modern duchess who dared to redefine what it means to be royal, sharing a similar spirit of grace and intention. What's more, this wasn't Meghan trying to imitate the Queen. In fact, there's no indication she even knew about McGrady's method. And yet, their methods align, which tells us something deeper about the kind of person Meghan is, and perhaps about how Queen Elizabeth saw her too. It's easy to forget, in the media whirlwind that's followed Meghan and Harry, that Meghan and Queen Elizabeth did in fact share moments of closeness. Remember their first official engagement together in 2018? Just weeks after Meghan and Harry's wedding, the Queen invited Meghan on a joint visit to Cheshire. The press covered every moment from their matching smiles to Meghan's quiet attentiveness. Royal insiders said at the time that the Queen was eager to make Meghan feel welcomed, and what better way to feel close to someone than to discover you share a common sensibility? This pineapple parallel is more than just cute trivia. It's symbolic. The Queen's method was about elegance, etiquette, and visual symmetry. Meghan's method was about mindfulness, natural cues, and respect for the source. One style rooted in tradition, the other in modern wellness, but both carried an identical message. The smallest things deserve care. And for a royal family often accused of neglecting emotional details, Meghan's approach might have felt refreshingly familiar to the Queen, who was far more thoughtful and perceptive than many gave her credit for. Now here's the interesting part. While fans online celebrated this beautiful parallel, many in the British media either ignored it or missed the point entirely. Some tabloids brushed it off as coincidence. Others used it to mock Meghan for being overly performative. But what if just once we looked at Meghan's actions not with suspicion but with curiosity? Because from the start, Meghan has been someone who pays attention to detail. Whether it's writing handwritten notes to her staff, curating care packages for women's shelters, or thoughtfully selecting the food she prepares for her family, Intention is her signature. This pineapple moment was no accident. It wasn't performative. It was just Meghan. And in a time when women, especially women of colour, are often criticised for being too much or not enough, it's worth celebrating a woman who brings grace to even the simplest things. Prince Harry has spoken often about his grandmother's influence. In his memoir, Spare, he reflected on their bond, one built on mutual respect, humour and a shared sense of duty. And while he has openly criticised the institution of the monarchy, he's never once attacked the Queen herself. In fact, Harry has gone out of his way to make it clear. His love and respect for his grandmother remain untouched. So imagine how he must have felt watching that clip of Meghan with the pineapple, watching her honour something unknowingly that his grandmother also loved. It's the kind of quiet harmony Harry has always wished for between his past and his present, between the family he came from and the family he's building. And in that moment, through one humble fruit, the bridge between two generations was restored. If there's one thread that runs through everything Meghan and Harry do, it's intention. Their charity work, their parenting, their business decisions, all rooted in meaning. And moments like this show us why that matters. Meghan could have thrown that pineapple on a tray and called it a day, but she didn't. She chose to treat it with reverence. She chose to speak about nature, about taste, about the joy of noticing. It's the same way she approaches life. And maybe that's what the Queen saw in her, not a threat, not an outsider, but a woman who cared, a woman who looked at the world with empathy, a woman who, despite the noise, never stopped paying attention. So, what can we take from this story? Maybe it's that grace lives in the details. Maybe it's that legacy is passed down in the smallest acts, not just in crowns or titles, but in how we cut a fruit, how we set a table, how we live with care. And maybe, just maybe, Queen Elizabeth and Meghan Markle weren't as different as the headlines would have us believe. In their own ways, both women brought dignity to tradition, one from within the palace walls, the other from a kitchen filled with warmth, laughter and love. This has been Meghan and Harry Tales, and I'm your host, Adrian. Thank you for joining me on this unexpected journey through fruit, royalty, and the quiet power of intention. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because there's always more to the story. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and stay royal.